Ah, right. Hola. And that John.
Hola, Lu. Bienvenido.
Bienvenido.
Gracias, César, por estar con nosotros. Víctor.
Hola a
de
todos,
nada.
buen día.
Mi español es malo, pero así.
No problema. Muy bien, Lu. Iniciamos con conocer un poco sobre los inicios en el cine, sobre todo en adentrarse en el mundo del anime, que es interpretar a Ticketman en Dragon Hafu. Me gustaría saber sobre la preparación de ser uno de sus primeros, roles en voz off y cómo es el mundo del anime, cómo es la preparación.
Gracias. Me gusta, sí. Yes, thank you for asking. It's been interesting with anime because I was an actor in Houston, Texas, where a very small company had purchased several Japanese titles. And they were called ADV, and it was one of the first companies in the United States to buy Japanese anime, and they needed to voice dub it. So it just happened to be they needed actors to do this, and I happened to be at the right place at the right time, and they would bring us in. We had to match the lip flaps of the animated characters, and as well as in Spanish and English, doesn't always line up, and I can tell you in Japanese and English, it doesn't always line up. So it was a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun work, and because we got to do character voices quite a bit. Sorry, that's a long explanation, but I was really new at it. They didn't know really how to do it. They're very good at it now, but back then it was all new, brand new to us.
Leo.
Lew nos dice que pues primero que todo fue un gran esfuerzo, pero ellos tenían gran distinción o gran formación en este mundo y pues fue un reto para ellos, particularmente en esto del movimiento de los labios, porque se editaba y casi que se copiaba. También fue muy interesante para ellos realizarlo, ya que pues fue la primera vez que Lew participó en un proyecto como ese y fue muy interesante.
Lo más importante que es en el mundo del anime, que es la preparación del voice-off con los labios y todo lo demás. Hay una serie de televisión que me gustó mucho por cómo es la osadía. ¿Cuál es el moldeamiento para que en esa serie de Golden Boy Sasurai pueda tener ese dominio para no perder un poco como el hilo conductor de la trama?
Okay, Lou, we would like to know you're acting in this series called Golden Boy that you work in your early years. Yeah. So how was that like working in that series? Maybe explain a bit about the mindset of your character.
Well, what's important I found in doing anime is that you have to act it out, even though it's on a microphone. You still have to be the character in the sound booth, and you get to see your animated character, the picture on the screen. They play it for you, and then you match the voice to it. But I always felt that it was important to sort of be that character in the program. So I would try to get my head to be engaged with what was happening. Golden Boy was very active, very authentic. So I wanted to make it real, What's so difficult in animation is there's so much supernatural things that happen that we don't experience flying, and we don't experience the earth opening up and all these supernatural activities. You have to use your imagination. So I come in completely open to see what is happening and then try to make it real. And that helped me for Golden Boy very much.
Vale, Lou dice que su experiencia trabajando en Golden Boy, fue algo en lo que tuvo que aprender también a gesticular y a actuar dentro de la cabina de sonido como tal, porque él puede ver a su personaje, su personaje en versión animada, pero entonces él dice que tal vez el anime es como más expresivo y que tiene que aprender a actuar como de una forma sí, expresiva, porque también en el anime suceden este tipo de cosas más sobrenaturales y bueno, él no puede relacionar una experiencia de él con uno de estos eventos, pero puede pues meterse dentro del personaje y actuar esto y expresar esas emociones.
Muy bien, antes de darle la palabra a alguno del panel, también quiero enfatizar sobre La hija del predicador. Es un filme ya saltando de los animes a descubrirse usted en los filmes, por ende, cristianos. En La hija del predicador, que se titula así, ¿cómo puede uno desarrollar o ejemplificar a un personaje que quizás sea un antagonista en un filme que quizás no note malas palabras, pero sí denota un poco como la maldad ahí presente sin que se evidencie? ¿Cómo es esa experiencia ante estos filmes?
Lou, we also would like you to speak about your role in The Preacher's Daughter. Like maybe when you have a character, there's more antagonistic and more evil, to say it like that.
Yeah. The Preacher's Daughter was a character. This is a guy called the Gardener. And what he does is he's selling drogas, illegal drugs to young kids, high school kids. But he feels like it's okay because he's giving them what they want. He's giving them what they need. And he feels like that's very similar to what the father, the priest, does in giving religion, in giving the Bible, in giving the word of God. And his pills, in his explanation to himself, these drogas that he sells to the kids is the same thing that the preacher is selling to his congregation. And so he was just justifying it in his mind that, hey, this isn't so bad. But then we see, because he pulls a gun out, we recognize it is bad. It's very bad. And he's there to make it difficult for the lead because he's taking her brother and putting her brother in harm's way. And for me, I wanted to make that character kind of fun. And yeah, it's very cool. It's cool. Hey, it's not cool. And he pulls a gun. So I wanted to make it fun until it wasn't. And it gets not fun really quick. So, and that's how these things happen, ¿no?
Vale, Lu nos explica que su personaje en esta película fue un jardinero, el cual también vende drogas a niños de secundaria. Entonces, que él explica que para el actuar de este personaje se interpreta un personaje que dentro de su propia realidad está animado y está pretendiendo que lo que hace realmente está bien, y lo compara de cierta forma con las intenciones del padre al darle fe y las lecturas de la Biblia a la gente. Entonces él siente que le está dando a los niños lo que quieren y necesitan para que se sientan mejor con las drogas. Pero entonces que hay un punto en el que saca un arma, y es aquí cuando deja de ser algo animado, porque se da cuenta de lo que realmente pasa, y es algo que está mal. Entonces aquí es cuando establece esto del personaje. lo interpreté de una forma animada y todo era diversión hasta que no lo es.
Es una muy buena respuesta. Le doy la palabra a Leo para que le preguntes.
Hello. I was watching, like 2 or 3 months ago, I watched The Endless. And fun. It was fascinating. Really fascinating.
Right.
For me, it's one of the best 5 movies I have seen like this year. To be honest.
Oh, that's great. You have good taste.
Anyhow, it was made with guerrillero money. It doesn't have like a little bit of money, and at the same time I can say it's one of the best productions I have seen without low money. The question for for you about this production, I'd like to ask you if, first of all, one of the most difficult things to portray the image of Philip Howard Lovecraft in in the cinema, first of all, and second of all is how can people make good productions with low currency?
Yeah, that's great. I really like your question, and I really appreciate your question, and I hope I'm able to answer it 2 parts well. First of all, as it relates to a Lovecraftian story, which those Lovecraft fans that we are, and I hope there's lots of them out there. And if you're not yet, do yourself a favor and start to read some of the Lovecraft stuff. The literature is amazing because it's so vivid and it's very psychological. It plays with your mind very much. And this movie in particular, as you said, we won't spoil it for any of the viewers who haven't seen it, but I'm hoping that your audience has access to it on Netflix in Colombia, and that you see it because it really questions who is in control of your life, who is pulling the strings. And I apologize to your interpreter. I speak so much and lo siento. But the thing with the Lovecraft story is that it's always about an omnipresent monster or a god that oversees the world that you live in. And that God is not merciful. That God is vengeful and is going to, everything has a cost to it. And it's a lot like life, to be honest. I don't believe that we have a vengeful God, but I believe that life has a cost and we pay it all the time. So I think the Lovecraft story is great, that the boys, Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, who wrote and directed The Endless, also starred in The Endless. I think they nailed it. And because they did it for so little money, just so little money, we're talking $100,000, this movie. And it looks like a movie of $100 million. They did it because they wrote a very compelling story. So I think for all of you, just storytellers, your story must be engaging and compelling. They also had quite a mystery involved, and a very psychological mystery. So it's like hide and go seek or fishing. And so we want to know what's under the bed. We want to know what's hiding, or doing a puzzle. We want to know what the answer is. And they keep pulling us closer and closer to the answer, but they never quite give it to us, do they? And that's what a great story is we have to fill in those blanks. They were very well prepared. So they wrote a script that was very solid, and they shot it. They were very prepared with their shot lists. So I think preparation is important. They were very confident in what they could do. And I would say this to anybody, they're editors. And so they know very well how to shoot to their edit. And so look at yourself and know what your skill is. This is not just for filmmaking, but for everything in life. Know what your skill is and find out where that belongs. If you speak well, be an actor, be a broadcaster, be a news person, give speeches. If you're a good listener, be a therapist. If you're good with your hands, build things. If you're smart and you do math, be a coder. Find out what you do well, and it probably is something you love, and so do that. So they're very prepared, and they built a movie that was well within their skill set, which has now given them an opportunity to be movie makers for here into the future. They're the new, Coen brothers, so to speak, and the sci-fi is very much in their wheelhouse. Sorry about that, Mr. Interpreter. It's so long.
Mr. Temple, do not worry about it. Take your time with the answers. We have it covered. You don't need to apologize. First of all. Anyhow, bien, Lew dice que, bueno, entre varias de las cosas que dijo, primero dice, al final nos dio una reflexión aquí diciendo que deberíamos, hacer las cosas para las que somos buenos en la vida. Dijo tipo, bueno, si eres bueno escuchando, tienes que ser un psicólogo. Si eres bueno con las matemáticas, dedícate a eso. Si eres bueno con las manos, construye cosas. Y bueno, sí, nos dio esta reflexión. Antes de eso también, bueno, dijo esto para hablar también de cómo el presupuesto de la película, realmente, a pesar de ser una dificultad, se nota al final que es una película con un presupuesto bajo, pero que logra verse como una producción y sentirse como una producción de $100 millones. Además de esto, hablando del horror Lovecraftiano, dijo que toca este tema de que tal vez no estamos en el control de nuestras propias vidas, y es como esto que toca, tipo que hay una especie de Dios o una entidad vengativa o una entidad que está por encima de nosotros, y que gracias a eso tal vez le debemos a la vida, y eso es lo que él dice siempre, que le debemos algo a la vida, en parte. Y sí, habló de su experiencia en esta película. Dice que le gustó trabajar en el filme The Endless, que por cierto creo estaba en Netflix, no sé si para esta región. Es 2017 y es de horror cósmico.
Una buena pregunta, Leo. Gracias, Lew. Le doy la palabra a César.
César, hola.
Ay, hola. Bueno, quisiera comenzar a decirle que es un honor estar aquí en esa entrevista con usted. Y bueno, yo quisiera preguntarle quiénes son sus directores de cine favoritos y por qué.
Okay,
directors, eh?
Yeah,
Your favorite.
and also
See?
that it is an honor to be here with you.
Oh, that's very kind. It's my honor. Gracias. My favorite directors. Well, it's interesting. I find favor. I try to find favor in all the directors, but certainly there are some that stand out. So I'm going to list some of them for various reasons. I'm going to say right off the top, my favorite is a gentleman named Tony Scott. Tony Scott did Top Gun. Tony Scott did, California. And for me, I did Unstoppable with Tony Scott, Domino, and Deja Vu. And he makes huge action movies. And so these movies were so big and so adventurous, and they were like a boy's dream. It was like when you're a child and you make believe. It was so big. It was like working for Willy Wonka, and he was so enthusiastic and had such energy that you just wanted to do well for him. He was like your favorite uncle. Sadly, he has passed away. He's not with us, so he has a very special place, not just in my heart, but in all of cinema's hearts. And he always brought a big production to your life. So that was great. I love this guy, Gore Verbinski. who did all the Pirates of the Caribbean. I did an animated feature called Rango with him, which we won an Oscar, which was great. And I also did The Lone Ranger, both with Johnny Depp. And so much fun. He's very similar to Gore or Tony Scott, that he makes big set pieces. He's one of what I call the lions. Okay. And then in his vein, recently, just a year ago, maybe it's been 2 now, I worked with this guy, Quentin Tarantino, fascinating guy, very enthusiastic. He makes really interesting movies, and he has huge sets with incredible players, but it's just him in charge. He is the boss. So I like him very much. I enjoy working with this gentleman, Rob Zombie, who makes horror films. And Rob is, he likes to keep his stuff a little smaller than the other 3 gentlemen. But he's quite good at telling his story, because he knows what he wants, and he wants what he knows. And I think that's that's really special. And there's a lady that I had a chance to do a film for. Her name is Kelly Reichardt, and she makes really interesting, suspenseful movies. And I did a movie called Night Moves with her, and I think she's exceptionally great. And then last, there's so many, but 2 gentlemen that I've worked for, Alejandro Inarritu, who I did 21 grams for. He's so detail oriented, and he's so good at story. You know, we know him from Babel, from you know, so many films. 21 grams, we were nominated. He wins Oscars. And then the other gentleman, Alphonse Cuarón, who I did Desierto with, also excellent storytellers. So these people are amazing. And just off the top, they're some of my favorites. There was a young lady who made a film called Waitress. That's one of my favorite independent movies I did, Adrienne Shelley. And she was particularly good at what she did. She was also an actor. And I think that's really special when you're an actor and a director, and you can do both. And sadly, she's passed away as well. But all of them, I tip my hat to, and I feel it's an honor to be a part of their vision when they invite me to be part of it. I've had, that's one of the things that sometimes people let me know, whether it's a producer or a casting director, they say, you've worked with really great directors. You're very fortunate. And I realize that's the truth. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, that was quite the answer.
Yeah.
I
dropped a lot of names there.
Yeah, no, but you have been through a lot of names there. I was in fact going to ask you about some of the roles that you mentioned you work with, and it is great. It is real great to get your own words of your whole experience. Thanks for the answer, Mr. Temple.
Thank you.
Bien, bueno, el señor Temple ha trabajado primero que nada mencionó a Tony Scott, director de Top Gun, La Fuga, Man on Fire, Imparable y Marea Roja. Dice que es un director que, bueno, primero ya falleció hace unos años.
Yeah, Men on Fire is my favorite Tony Scott movie. Yeah,
Men on Fire es su película favorita de Tony Scott. Dice que le gusta bastante los sets que hace y la acción que logra con estos. Bueno, y luego de eso mencionó también a Gore Verbinski, que es con el que trabajó en Rango, que era y también, o sea, él hizo un personaje en Rango del cual le quería preguntar, y además es el director del Llanero Solitario, donde también tiene un rol, y la saga de Piratas del Caribe. Además de esto mencionó a Iñárritu, con el que trabajó en 21 grams, que creo que fue una de sus primeras películas. Una directora llamada Kelly Reichardt, con la que hizo Mr. Temple, what was the film that you did with
Night
Kelly?
Moves.
Night Moves,
yeah.
Que por lo que veo tiene a James Franco. y a Quentin Tarantino en Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, que bueno,
Sí.
ya sabemos todos el caso que logran esto. Y bueno, y Rob Zombie también con Halloween. Okay, Mr. Temple, I wanted to ask, first of all, about your experience in both Rango and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Since, well, I remember your role as Fergus, and
Yeah.
but I didn't remember what was your role in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So if you could talk us about that, that'll be amazing. I also admire Quentin Tarantino a lot, and he's my favorite director. So it will be really great to hear it from you.
Fantastic. Good question. Starting with Rango, that's Gore Verbinski, the director. He wanted to make a movie that would knock Pixar off the pedestal as the best animated feature of the year, which we were able to do. We actually filmed the movie entirely. Typically with an animated feature, you know, you do the voices and then they draw the animation, and they put the two together. But in this instance, we made the movie in 2 or 3 months, just like a regular film. And we had, I did Mr. Fergus down at the general store, so we had to actually walk around like our characters and be like, we had to dress like them. And also I did Sergeant Turley, the arrow chicken with the arrow through his eye.
Mr. Temple, you also played the sergeant in the video game adaptation of the movie.
Yeah.
Right, keep going.
And so Rango was so much fun. I can't tell you how much fun, because we were really being silly and doing these crazy voices and just, having a good time and recording it. And then when we saw the movie, we were like, whoa, this is great. It's really good. One of my favorite sayings is in this movie from The Spirit of the West. No man can walk out on his own story. And I think that's true. What that means is we all must tell our story. You have a story to tell. And whatever you do in life, you have to tell your story. You must. And so I think about that all the time. I played land pirate Lew in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, sort of a desperado in the television show called Lancer, where we kidnapped the young girl, and I'm one of the bandits at the bar with Leonardo DiCaprio and Timothy Oliphant. And unfortunately, Luke Perry, who's also passed, I'm sorry for referencing all these people who have left us, but they're angels now, and they were angels here on earth. But it was so great to watch Quentin Tarantino. He's everything that you've heard. He's got a story. He talks and tells stories between takes. He's so fascinated, and he's seen so much and heard so much and met so many people. And so he has a story for everything. And he's definitely in charge. No cell phones on set. You have to be really focused, and he wants you to be prepared just at any given moment. He might write something for you to say. And he only shoots with one camera, and there's no monitors to look at, to check. It's only him and his DP. And they say that it was good or it was bad, and then you do it again if it was bad, or they move on. He likes great moments, but he's planned those great moments because he's written these scripts, so he knows what the moment is, and so he's. It seems like it just happens, but it's because it's actually written very well, and he knows every part and he knows every line. He knows the lines better than the actors. He can act out every part in the movie because he's written it. He's taken a lot of time to write this movie, and so he wants you to be a bit of a peacock. He wants you to be big and bold, and that's why his movies stand out as such. So it was really a great experience to watch him. Besides I got to see Al Pacino. But besides Al Pacino, Quentin Tarantino is the biggest person on set, bigger than DiCaprio, bigger than Brad Pitt, bigger than Kurt Russell. He's the man. But when Pacino showed up, Pacino was the man. So it was just so fascinating. It was such a great opportunity. And he asked me and invited me to be part of that production based on the work that I had done with Tony Scott. He loved this movie, Unstoppable. And so he said, I got to have you in my movie. I didn't get to do a lot in the film, but just to be part of it was really, really great.
All right, that's just great stuff. Really, thank you for the answer. And also, as a fan of animation myself, I really admired the entire crew of Rango, which is really one of the best animated films ever. And you know, getting the Academy Award, that's just my admiration for you and all of the crew for it.
Yeah, thank you. It was so much fun. And of course, the cast is so great. And, you know, Johnny Depp, he showed up and he thought, well, we're going to be animated. We could just read our lines off the script, right? But he didn't know that we were going to film the whole thing. So then he had to go back and memorize all this because he had a lot of words as the lead, you know. And it was so much fun to work with he and Bill Nighy and Abigail Breslin and Isla Fisher and Stephen Root and all these Ray Winstone and Alfred Molina and all these great actors and work like to be very silly. You know, we were being animals that could talk. It was, you know, again, it was a child's dream. It was beautiful.
Bien, nada, empezando por Rango, dice que se divirtió muchísimo en el set de Rango porque, bueno, aparte de su objetivo de quitarle el trono a Pixar con el Oscar de la animación, cosa que lograron, pues fue bastante divertido porque estaban divirtiéndose con la película y leyendo sus líneas, haciendo voces raras y interpretando animales parlantes y en general todo esto que fue una experiencia bastante entretenida para ellos porque también filmaron la película como tal. Ellos no solamente entraron a hacer sus líneas de voz, sino que filmaron la película con sus roles. De hecho, Johnny Depp, que ya había hecho sus líneas, tuvo que volver a filmar la película y empezar a memorizar todo de nuevo, siendo el protagonista. Y bueno, Alfred Molina, Elaine, o sea, tiene un cast también bastante bueno. Incluso ahí también resaltó la escena del Espíritu del Oeste, que la referencia a Clint Eastwood, interpretado por Timothy Olyphant, diciendo que esto de que cada persona tiene que tener su propia historia es cierto y bueno, apoya este mensaje. Y esta escena de la película que es espectacular, igual que toda la película como tal. Luego, moviéndonos a Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, dice que Quentin Tarantino personalmente dijo que lo quería en su película luego de ver su trabajo en Unstoppable, que es del director que mencionó Tony Scott, director de Top Gun. Entonces esta película que es con Denzel Washington y Chris Pine, Lew Temple tiene un papel ahí y cuando Quentin Tarantino la vio dijo que lo quería en Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Fue un papel pequeño en la escena en la que Rick Dalton está haciendo la escena con Timothy Olyphant, el personaje de Timothy Olyphant, Lancer. Ajá, y entonces él está ahí y bueno, dice que fue una experiencia genial porque Tarantino es un tipo que pone orden en el set y él podría actuar con con el rol de cada personaje porque él mismo escribe el guión y le tiene la historia clara, tiene cada parte de esto claro. Dice que es un tipo que sabe bastante lo que hace, conoce bien su trabajo y es genial trabajar con Quentin Tarantino. Además de eso, dice que él era el hombre en el set hasta que llegaba Al Pacino. Ni Brad Pitt, ni Leonardo DiCaprio, ni Kurt Russell, todo Quentin Tarantino estaba por encima de todos ellos hasta que llegaba Al Pacino y Al Pacino era el hombre en ese momento. Y esta fue su experiencia con Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Increíble, gracias Víctor, gracias Lew por la respuesta increíble. Le doy la palabra a Joan.
Primero que todo quiero darle las buenas noches a Lew.
Hola.
Hola Lew, admiro mucho su trabajo, la verdad me ha encantado muchísimo Rango y también soy un admirador de Iñárritu. Pues quería preguntarle a Lew respecto al trabajo que él hace como actor de voz y actor de doblaje. Me interesa muchísimo porque él ha doblado animes al inglés, entonces quería preguntarle cómo es el proceso de doblar un anime al inglés, qué es lo que hacen dentro del estudio. Y también preguntarle un poco cuál es la diferencia entre doblar un anime y hacer la voz para una película animada como Rango. Y para que nos hable un poco de cómo fue la grabación de 21 gramos, porque tengo entendido que fue la primera película que grabó Alejandro en Estados Unidos. Entonces, ¿qué fue lo que él notó durante la grabación en Memphis?
Vale. Bueno. Okay. So, Mr. Temple, we would like to know, first of all, like if you could maybe make it. What is the difference between recording a voice lines for an anime series and an animated film or series like Rango, like the west and east side of animation, and also was your experience working on 21 RAM, which with Iñárritu, and how was that like?
Good questions. First question, as far as the experience between difference in Rango and like a television or an animated series like Burn Up W or Evangelion. Rango, Gore Verbinski, who had written it and was directing it, was so specific in sound and inflection. It was almost like music. And so if he would hear the pitch, and it had to be a perfect blend with the rest of the balances. So for instance, Mr. Fergus, when he speaks real high, he needs a character next to speak real low, so it was like music. You have the bass line and then you have the timbre, and he sort of built it as a song, all the sound of it. So he was really aware of who spoke when, so that it was the right sound and music. So that was very different than anything I had ever done as a voice actor. And also we were actually acting out so that the animators could animate based on our gestures, whoa, and our facial expressions. And then they would animate our characters the way we acted on this film that he provided them. And in anime, of course, when you do anime, typically or mostly the character's already built and you're trying to match the voice to the character. And so you have to have a little flex. Maybe this guy speaks a little slower. Or maybe it's much different as that goes. I also think in a film, every word counts. There's no throwing away any word. Every word is important because you only have an hour and a half to get that said. On television or a series. Maybe you can throw away some. When I say throw away, maybe they're not so important. You don't have to land every sentence. That's that question. Alejandro Iñárritu, 21 grams. This guy is so specific. When I say is every detail matters for him, and he sees everything and he feels everything. And so I can remember him coming up to me and fixing my hair. It's just a little, I want this part here and this part there, and see, and hair, makeup, come here, fix this, and so he was so interesting in the detail, and it was a very difficult movie, as you may remember, because it didn't follow a natural through line. It wasn't linear. It was not what they call nonlinear. And so it became very confusing on this movie. I had two scenes, one with Benicio del Toro, who was entirely confused the whole movie because they kept jumping back and forth in the script, which is very confusing. And I had a scene with Sean Penn where I interrogate Sean Penn, who's an amazing actor. We all know this. This scene got cut. It did not make the movie, but it was fun to get to work with both. Benicio's very fun and light, and Inarritu was always trying to keep him understanding what the moment was. And then Sean Penn's very serious, very intense, and Inarritu maybe leans towards that, very intense and brilliant. Something about him is better than the rest of us, and better than most, I believe, than who do this, that make movies. Maybe he's the best director of our time too. I could say that. And he may make movies that you don't like or understand, but they're the best movies. And Cuarón, I think, is beautiful with his pictures, his camera. He's great cinematographer, beautiful. He paints with beautiful pictures on the screen. Inarritu paints with beautiful words, and Tony Scott paints with incredible action, very fast. Da, 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 da. And Quentin Tarantino, the same, very fast and then slow, very fast and then slow. And so these are what these Picasso, these men do, and women, these women as well. And so I'm honored to be a part of that. Hopefully that answers a question. Thanks. Lo siento.
No, thanks.
Muchas gracias por la respuesta, Lu. La verdad, a mí me fascina mucho el mundo del doblaje.
Yeah, all right. Bien, empezando por la pregunta respecto al anime. Bueno, dice que trabajando con Rango, Gore Verbinski quería crear una especie de balance musical entre las voces de los personajes, ya que tenían un tono y un timbre de voz bastante peculiar entre cada uno y quería que hubiera tal vez un tono alto, un tono bajo. Entonces era como hacer música. Y fue una dirección bastante específica que tuvieron. Entonces, pues, en el anime es bastante diferente porque él en el anime doblaba personajes ya establecidos, mientras que tal vez Fergus en Rango fue un personaje que también se adaptó a él, de cierta forma. Entonces, bueno, dice que en el anime las voces pueden ser bastante cambiantes y puede ser distinto por lo que ya mencionamos de el lip sync entre japonés e inglés. Y sí, o sea, es una experiencia bastante distinta entre ambos lados, especialmente por el tipo de producción que es. Y ahora, trabajar con Iñárritu, dice que tiene un par de escenas ahí con Alejandro Iñárritu en 21 gramos, que es una película... dice que Iñárritu, primero que nada, es uno de los mejores directores de nuestros tiempos, ni que eso lo puede decir con certeza. Y ahí habló sobre Champagne y Benicio del Toro. Y bueno, que hay una escena eliminada de la cual participó Lew Temple, pero a pesar de eso, pues dice que fue una gran producción en la que trabajar y que realmente admira bastante a Iñárritu, porque Iñárritu es una persona que se fija muchísimo en cada detalle en pantalla. Dijo también que, así como en el doblaje, tal vez cada palabra es importante y es por eso que no puedes, digamos, saltársela o tomársela a la ligera. A la hora de filmar esto, hace la comparación con Iñárritu, diciendo que Iñárritu es una persona muy detallista con su trabajo. Entonces, cada elemento en pantalla, cada cosa es importante. Y también le gustó trabajar con él. Además, menciona a Cuarón. Dice que Cuarón hace unas tomas bellísimas y hace arte con sus tomas. Y que, bueno, resalta eso, que hace películas demasiado bellas. Y que el ritmo de producción otra vez mencionaba a Tony Scott, diciendo que el ritmo de producción es algo tal vez más rápido, tal vez rápido y luego lento, igual que Quentin Tarantino, rápido y luego lento. Y que es un ritmo de dirección distinto entre ellos. Y sí, me habló bastante de sus experiencias con estos directores.
Buena pregunta, Joan. Y le doy la palabra a Deslan para que le pregunte a Lew.
Hi, Lew Temple.
Hola. Hola, mi amigo. Barranquilla, Bogotá, ¿dónde?
Bogotá, en Colombia.
Sí. I've been to in Colombia. I've been 2 places: Barranquilla, sí, y Bogotá.
Yes.
Para béisbol, juegue béisbol.
Ok. Mi pregunta es sobre la preparación que tuvo en la película de Masacre de Texas. El Cherry Winston, ¿cómo fue la preparación del personaje así como tal en esa película de Masacre de Texas? Gracias.
Okay, Mr. Temple, this is a question that I also had curiosity about. Like, you participated in two reboots from these horror classics, like Halloween with Rob Zombie, and also the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the prequel to the 2003 reboot. So, Abduslan wants to know, how was your experience preparing the role for the Sheriff Winston in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the beginning? And also, maybe if you could delve a bit deeper into the Halloween role, like these are two films, reboots of classics from the horror genre.
Right. I think they're uniquely different for sure. Obviously, the Halloween movie, I had experience with Rob Zombie, and you may notice if you follow his work, he uses a lot of the same cast. We're kind of an ensemble, a family, and he does this because he can trust us and he recognizes that we're invited to bring something to the party, and he doesn't have to give us that. And that makes it makes his job better. It makes our job better. So he invited me to do the Halloween. In that particular movie, he wanted me to be different than I had been in his previous film, Adam Banjo. He wanted me to be kind of the antagonist and to be very mean-spirited, not just to Michael Meyer, but also to my work partner, who was played by Danny Trejo, playing the character Ismael. And so my guy was very hard on the Latin culture. You could say racist, and he was. And then, of course, he was very bad to the inmates at the asylum, the people who were staying there, and he abused them. And because he was not a happy person. So very much psychologically not a very good place to be, really, really bad. And an ugly character. And so it was great to work with Danny Trejo because he's such a lot of fun to work with. And he gave me a lot of interesting tidbits about being in prison. And so about how you go to the bathroom, you take your pants off. And that's how I got killed in Halloween, because my pants were off and they were down around my ankles, and I was able to get caught by Michael Myers, and he crushes my head. But the whole scene with the girl in the abuse was very difficult. So Rob made that quite a bit easier. Also on that movie was Malcolm McDowell, who had done Clockwork Orange, and he spoke to me a lot about, look, this is your job and you have to do this. As unpleasant as it may seem, this is your job. You know, if you're going to play Hitler, you must, play Hitler, do as well as you can. And so I really learned a lot on that set. Sheriff Winston for Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the beginning, again, R. Lee Ermey, who, I'm just going to say a prayer for all these people. They're all passed. He's passed away as well. He takes my identity, the original identity theft, when I go to arrest his nephew, who is Leatherface. And so that was a lot of fun. I had worked with R. Lee before, and Jonathan Liebsman, the director, let us improvise quite a bit. And I was just a sheriff that wanted to go home to dinner. In fact, I was going to retire and go move and start my own little side business as a farmer and just get out of the law. And you never know on any given day that you might get killed. No fault of your own. And so I wanted to make him kind of a happy guy that was local and just trying to get through the day like most of us are. And so they're two completely different characters. As far as being part of reboots, I think there's a lot of pressure because the movies have already been done and they've been done well. Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Halloween are iconic horror franchises. So you don't want to tarnish those franchises. For the Halloween, we were trying to pay an homage to John Carpenter's original Halloween, but Rob wanted to give Michael Myers a little backstory, which you either liked it or you didn't. My grandfather used to say, "There's a bottom for every seat." So there you go. And the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, again, trying to give Leatherface an identity of where he came from. I thought we did a good job with the violence in this movie. It was very violent. Both movies were. And so I was proud to be attached to all of them, or to both of them. You know, the one that I'm missing two, at least one, I need to do a Friday the 13th, right? I need to deal with Jason. Or maybe, the other one is Nightmare on Elm Street with Freddy Krueger. So I've done Leatherface, I've done Michael Myers. I need Jason and Freddy Krueger to make it.
Well, we have interviewed two actors who have played Jason, so maybe when they are working something like that, yeah, we'll speak to you about that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Gracias.
Okay, great. Thanks for the answer. Bien, aproveché también para preguntarle sobre su experiencia trabajando con Rob Zombie en el reboot de Halloween de 2007. Y bueno, empezando por ahí, dice que ya que trabajó con eso me pareció muy interesante, y es que trabajó con Malcolm McDowell como el Dr. Samuel Loomis. Y entonces, como todos sabemos, Malcolm McDowell tuvo una carga psicológica inmensa con el personaje de Alex Delarge, también en 1977, y bueno, trabajando con Kubrick. Entonces, claro, ya que Lew tenía que interpretar a un personaje que trabajaba en este reclusorio mental, pues, y es un personaje malo que, por ejemplo, es racista contra Danny Trejo, y bueno, ya que tenía que interpretar un personaje de este tipo, Malcolm McDowell le aconsejó en este tipo de carga psicológica, diciéndole, es tu trabajo, tienes que hacerlo, y bueno, fue parte del personaje. Entonces, pues, también dice que Danny Trejo le dijo este tipo de cosas de cómo es estar en un reclusorio, estar en prisión, y es gracias a eso que él pudo, tipo, hacer la gesticulación y actuar de esta forma, especialmente en la escena en la que Michael Myers lo mata, que es cuando va al baño y le aplasta la cabeza. Luego de eso, en La Masacre de Texas, es un personaje completamente distinto, ya que está interpretando a un sheriff que quiere abandonar el trabajo, y siendo un ciudadano del día a día y una persona de la comunidad, y dice que, igual que todos nosotros, es una persona que trabaja por el día a día. Entonces, que dice que no sabe en qué momento podría ser asesinado. Y también hablando de esto, de trabajar en un reboot, bueno, primero dice que le gustó bastante cómo lograron la violencia en Masacre de Texas, la precuela de 2006 para el reboot de 2003. Y hablando de su trabajo en los reboots, dice que es una carga bastante importante, porque es una película que ya se ha hecho de una forma bien, y bueno, que uno tiene que vivir esa expectativa. Y dice que, por ejemplo, con Halloween querían hacerle parte de un homenaje a John Carpenter, explorar más la psicología de Michael Myers, que yo personalmente pienso que es un aspecto bastante interesante de la película, y tal vez algo que la pueda posicionar un poco más alto. Y dice también que con La Masacre de Texas, pues es esto. Ambos son clásicos de su época, y al ser un reboot tienen esta carga de que sea también algo bien hecho. Bueno, ahí también dice que ya que trabajó en una película de Michael Myers, en una película de Leatherface, le tendría que trabajar en una película con Jason y con Freddy Krueger. Entonces le dije que podríamos hablar con Ari o con CJ para un futuro proyecto.
Claro que sí.
Jaime.
Sí, hola. Bueno, primero que todo, saludar y pues preguntarle que cómo fue la experiencia de participar en The Walking Dead, y si le gustó el papel que tuvo, que la verdad fue bastante chévere.
All right. Lew, first of all, Jaime is a fan of your work in The Walking Dead. He's a fan of the series overall. So
thank you. Gracias. Muchas gracias.
And yeah, he wants to know how was the experience with The Walking Dead overall, and what do you think of your character, maybe?
Well, the experience was amazing. As we've talked about, I've had a chance to have lots of experiences, and this is one of the best. I didn't know that it was going to be like that when I went and took the job on The Walking Dead. I'd never experienced anything like that with as much as I had done. I'd seen The Walking Dead in the graphic novels come across my desk because I had done horror. In that genre, I had a place. But I didn't think in the comics that they could make a television show based on these comics because it's so violent. And lo and behold, 11 seasons now, going on 12, right? And so when I showed up to do the job, I was very pleasantly surprised and happy that it was such a familia, and everybody was working to do the best possible project they could do. And that started with the number one, which I was there, Andrew Lincoln, Sheriff Rick Grimes. Everybody, the writers, the producers, the directors, the actors, hair, makeup, the entire crew, all pulling on the same side of the rope. No divas, no hierarchy. Everybody was the same. Everyone ate together. Everyone laughed together and cried together to put out a very good project. So that was entirely what the success of the show is that everybody is together. And you're invited when you come on to the show. They want you to help. A lot of shows, they just treat you dismissively like a stepchild. We don't really want you around. Yeah, well, you're here, so we have to deal with you, or you're here for a short time. But on The Walking Dead, when you come into that family, you're there forever. And I thought that was very unique, Victor. And that it made you feel like you wanted to help. You were part of something that was important. And every day we did the best we could. And then the next day we had to do better. We had to raise the bar every time out. And so it was so great. And the cast and the crew, people ask me, well, what did you get from Walking Dead? Did you get your costume? Did you get any props? I got friendships. I have brothers and sisters that'll be with me forever. And I'm so proud of that, that to have been part of what I think is really good work. And, The Walking Dead at that time, season 3 was a metaphor for life. We don't necessarily fight walkers, although in these days in COVID, we're kind of fighting a disease that travels airborne, not unlike what the walker disease is. But at that time, it was a metaphor for not one of us gets up not trying to survive, whether it's your bills, gas, housing, feeding your family, going to college, all these things that are huge obstacles that we have to overcome. And how do we do it? And when we go to bed at night, we have to get up and do the same thing tomorrow. And that's the beauty of life. I've started to recognize they're not problems, they're practices. So we just get better at them. And so The Walking Dead was incredible. And I had no idea, I think, when I got on it, how popular it was. It's one of the most visible things that I've ever done. I'm known for that as much around the world as I am for any of the other things that we've talked about. So I have to be so thankful and gracious that I was on it and that I got to play Axel, who was a character that just wanted a friend. He just wanted to be liked and to be invited to be part of the group. And I wanted him to wear his heart on his sleeve, that he might say what people thought, like his romance with Carol in his mind was more than it ever was. And every now and then that he could create some laughs. And I'm very proud with what we did with Axel, and I'm very proud to have been on The Walking Dead. Thanks for asking that question, Victor.
Bien, Lew Temple, dice primero que, bueno, que como siempre está agradecido de trabajar en The Walking Dead y que le gustó bastante el personaje de Axel. Y bueno, cuando él se metió en esto no tenía idea de lo popular que era la serie de televisión realmente. Y ahorita pues se da cuenta que es una de las cosas por las que tal vez más lo reconocen. Y bueno, respecto al... Dice que también en The Walking Dead, digamos, es diferente a otros rodajes en los que tal vez a uno lo tratan como si simplemente está ahí y tienen que encargarse de él y ya. Más bien en The Walking Dead, aparte de ser una especie de familia, era un trabajo. Uno quería realmente ayudar y hacer algo en la serie, en la producción. Y entonces fue un rodaje de esta forma, todos trabajando de una forma activa para ello. Y bueno, dice que con el personaje de Axel está bastante agradecido. Habló de que, bueno, no, antes de eso, que tal vez esta temporada de Walking Dead era también una metáfora para la vida misma, en palabras de él, diciendo que tal vez no es tanto la lucha con los infectados, con los caminantes, sino con otros humanos y demás. Entonces que ahorita realmente estamos enfrentando un virus o una enfermedad de la misma forma. Tal vez que no, obviamente no es como el virus de Walking Dead, el virus de los caminantes, pero que a pesar de todo, bueno, sigue estando ahí, lo estamos combatiendo de cierta forma. Y que esto pues dice que la belleza es la belleza de la vida, ¿no? Que uno se acuesta cada noche sabiendo que el día siguiente tiene que levantarse a enfrentar esto y seguir adelante con facturas, con ir a la universidad, este tipo de obstáculos que uno tiene que sobrellevar. Y dices que tal vez es una metáfora de la vida como tal, por esta lucha. Y bueno, que el personaje de Axel era simplemente una persona que quería tener una amistad y un personaje con el que está agradecido, y un buen personaje, sobre todo. Y eso, que está bastante agradecido de haber podido trabajar en The Walking Dead.
Es muy bueno. Le agradezco a Jaime porque hay fanáticos luego de la serie. Está Julio González, quien te quiere saludar, que me gustaría que Julio le saludes y dile.
Hola Luis,
Hola, Julio.
admiro mucho el personaje de Walking Dead, del personaje Hazel,
Sí, gracias.
de la tercera temporada, que me gustó mucho.
Gracias, Julio. También te saludan, pero no están con nosotros. También otras chicas que le gustan de Walking Dead, Yuraima Rivera y Keren Pacheco, que le gustaría que les envíen un saludo a ellas.
Lew, maybe if you could send a shout out to those fans that really admire your job in The Walking Dead and the series overall.
Yeah, of course. Hey, everyone in Colombia. This is Lew Temple, Axel from The Walking Dead. And I'm so thankful that you support us, the television show, and hopefully you liked Axel quite a bit. And I think that it's a great show, and it's going to continue to be a great show. And it's changed an awful lot. You know, our sheriff's no longer with us, but I think he is there in spirit. And we've lost so many people on that show, but we've grown too, and we've grown younger. We have a lot of young people on that show, and it's doing so well. And once you're part of that family, not just as an actor, but as an audience member, we always felt like the audience was part of the team. We don't call you fans. We call you the audience, because you're a huge part of the success of the show. So my love to you guys, and thanks to you for all your support, especially in Colombia. So maybe we need to do a season of The Walking Dead in Colombia, in Bogota, no? Thank you. You follow me? Axel.
Gracias, Liu. Antes, para culminar, tengo la última pregunta que le va a gustar. Para Liu, ¿cómo fue protagonizar a un antagónico en Texas Compton? para que sea distinta a como otras series tejanas se han visto en Estados Unidos, y también cómo fue esa preparación de manejar el control de la ira en Sydney, que es también protagonizado por Tom Hardy.
Yeah, we want to know, like, also in one of your other maybe antagonistic roles in Texas Cotton. How was it like?
Well, Texas Cotton was kind of a dark comedy, and playing a criminal that I wanted to sort of make it a red herring. Is he guilty? Isn't he guilty? And then we come to find out he really is guilty. I wanted him to be likable enough that we might think he was done, being treated poorly, but to also give the sheriff cause to doubt himself, but then find out the truth in a really dark moment that we have in the car. And, I worked with a friend of mine, George Hardy, and I really liked George personally and professionally, so it made it that much better. We did shoot in Texas, in San Antonio, which I always like being in Texas. We shot the Texas Chainsaw Massacre there as well. And I think that for, a small movie, we did something very great. Tyler Russell, the writer-director, was able to get the most out of his resources, and we did quite well, I thought. And it was a great honor for me to get to work with the gentleman, Gene Jones, from one of Quentin Tarantino's movies, The Hateful Eight, but he also was in a Coen Brother movie, No Country for Old Men. And so he was great to work with. And I enjoyed working with George quite a bit too. And to play that character that was, it seemed to be one thing, but then he's actually another thing. That's always the fun of acting, for sure.
Vale, Luis dice que se divirtió con este personaje que también es como alguien que aparenta ser algo que realmente no es, y bueno, dice que le gustó trabajar con Tyler Russell, quien dirigió y escribió la película, y que logró también con el presupuesto hacer más de lo que podía imaginarse. Que también mencionó a George Hardy y a Gene Jones que está en Los Ocho Más Odiados y en No Country for Old Men, la de los Coen, en la que tienen esta escena con Javier Bardem, en la que Anton Chigurh lo intimida con la moneda. No sabía sobre este actor, y bueno, que se siente agradecido de haber trabajado en ella, y que es una de las películas independientes que más le ha gustado trabajar, que también fue filmada en Texas.
Lew, en Una Vez en Hollywood, me tiene interesado algo para ya terminar la entrevista, que es cuando Quentin Tarantino afirmó de que iba a realizar un libro profundizando más la historia. ¿Cómo le gustaría si de pronto Lamprey Lane, que era el personaje con quien estabas ahí, cómo le gustaría que fuese en unas líneas actuado de una manera sarcástica, de una manera de la ira? ¿Cómo quiere que de pronto sea si Quentin Tarantino menciona a ese personaje en el libro?
Mr. Temple, how would you like to be referred as with your character Land Pirate Lew? Well, who would you like to be described by Quentin Tarantino with that character?
I think he was kind of a guy that was not trustworthy, for sure. I wanted him to be a little bit of the problem, or at least that he looked like the problem. And there were some lines that were cut that I was a problem at the bar. How do I get service? And why is this guy getting more attention than I am? And we were all gunfighters against each other, no honor amongst thieves, as it were. And so I would like to think that Tarantino would say, that guy could snap at any moment. He could have been a gunfight any particular moment. And it just happened that it was about DiCaprio and Luke Perry. But next week, that guy's going to be the killer in the television show. So, because remember, we were making a television show inside of a movie, which was really interesting, I have to say. But I was really happy to be there. It was very impressive to watch Quentin work, and he just knows his camera and he knows his shots, and he knows how to frame. Two shots are perfect, and the angles and the lighting, it's all just he's just spot on every time out. So I'd like him to think that I was a nice piece of the puzzle.
Vale, él dice que tuvo un par de líneas grabadas en las que él era como una especie de problema en el bar, tipo diciendo, bueno, ¿por qué este tipo tiene más atención que yo y demás? Entonces que si Tarantino lo recordara, querría que fuera un personaje impredecible que podría tal vez romperse en cualquier momento y digamos, ok, justo ahora es DiCaprio y Luke Perry, pero puede que en el próximo episodio él sea el asesino o algo así. Porque estaban filmando una serie de televisión dentro de una película, con lo de Lancer. Entonces, si Tarantino lo escribiera, querría que fuera así. Además, dice que Tarantino es un tipo que, otra vez admirando bastante su trabajo con la cámara, diciendo que sabe perfectamente manejar la iluminación y el encuadre y el movimiento de la cámara y todo lo demás y las tomas. Entonces que dice que todo eso es algo que Tarantino maneja excelentemente.
Gracias, Lu, por su tiempo. Muchas gracias. Y bueno, te admiramos entre César, Jaime, Julio, Adeslam, Víctor. Muchas gracias por su tiempo. Y otra.
Thanks so much, Lew Temple.
Gracias. De nada.
Thank you.
Yes, Lou, we all really admired your work, and I personally was really excited to hear about your experiences with these directors. And it was really an honor to have you here, and we all really have admiration for you.
Oh, it's very kind. And just remember that we're going to get through this, whatever this is that we've experienced this past year. And we're all going to be together again, that I'll be able to come to Colombia for a fan experience, maybe a convention, and we can all meet and say hello and celebrate. And that's going to be a good day. And we're going to get double for our trouble. I think in 2021 we'll be blessed. Okay. So, but until then, we have to be safe and take care of ourselves and our families and look out for each other. And you're part of the family as I mentioned, you're the audience. And so we all have to look out for each other. But thank you for having me on. And until we're able to, hug each other, we do this, right?
Y espero verlo pronto con Mike Ferguson.
Gracias.
Gracias, Lu. Un abrazo. Chao a todos. Goodbye.
Gracias. Okay.
Thanks so much, Lew Temple.
So long.